And welcome back to the ShadowBear Story Sessions, podcast about brutally, hilariously dark and insane old folk tales. We're going through the original versions of Grimm's fairy tales before they got cleaned up and made all nice and pretty and smooth and not dark as hell and murderous so that kids could enjoy them. Don't know why we needed to do that. Don't know why kids need to be able to just come up with new stories for kids. Shrek was fine. That was a new one. Was Shrek based on a folktale? That would be phenomenal to learn. I'm not sure if it was. Yeah, leave the old folktales with the dark, twisted, horrifying, psychologically tortured older people that came up with them. That's who they belong to. Anyway, going through dark old folktales, working our way through the original versions of Grimm's fairy tales, and today we're getting into a story called The Carpenter and the Turner. It's a pretty short story, so depending on how it goes, we might just roll over right into the next one. Let's find out. We begin. A carpenter and a turner, no surprise there, wanted to see who could make the best piece of work. All right, still no clarity on what a turner is. I think it's means fabric or something. The carpenter made a dish that could swim by itself. Carpenters, don't they make things out of wood, like furniture and stuff? Why are you making dishes? Carpenter, you're a bad carpenter if you make dishes. It can swim by itself. Does that mean it just floats? He made a plate, a wooden plate that floats, because of course it floats, because it's made of wood, because you're a carpenter. I don't see what's special about this. While the turner made wings that he could use to fly. All right, I'm going to call this one for the turner right out the gate. That is pretty impressive. This is not a competition as far as I'm concerned. The carpenter just cut out a disc made of wood. Meanwhile, the turner figured out how to literally fly. No competition here. We continue. Everyone said that the carpenter's masterpiece was better. Why? Why was the carpenter's the plate? The floating plate? The dish that could swim by itself? I don't even know what that means. But everyone said that the carpenter's masterpiece was better. All right. Because I'm the insane one here. So the turner took his wings, put them on, and flew out of the country. Good for you, Turner. Be like, screw these people. I'm out of here. And he flew far enough that he could leave the country. These are no glider wings. This dude can literally fly. This is damn impressive. He flew the entire day until he came to another country where a prince saw him flying and asked to borrow the pair of wings. Don't do it. Don't let him borrow them. This is a trap. This is obviously a trap. Since the prince promised to pay him well, the turner gave him the wings. Why would he pay him well to borrow? This is like a rental agreement. Still, don't do it, man. The turner gave him the wings, and the prince flew to another kingdom. Why? He has no power there. Why would he fly to another kingdom? There he saw a tower, illuminated by many lights. He decided to swoop down to the ground and find out what the occasion was. All right, so the turner just is waiting. He just gave him the wings, and now he's standing there on some hill, watched the prince fly away and keep flying and keep flying and keep flying and disappear over the horizon. And the turner was like, hell, man. I messed up. I took my wings and I flew away. I have literally nothing except for the wings. And now some prince took them, and here I am. All alone. That is sad. All right, we got this prince in another kingdom. He swooping down to see what's going on with this tower with all the lights. When he learned that the most beautiful princess in the world lived there, he became very curious. I'll bet he did. In the evening, he flew through an open window and was able to be with the princess, but not for very long. For they were betrayed, and the prince and princess were sentenced to die at the stake. What? This escalated quickly. Jesus. Also, was the princess into it? Was she cool with this? With the prince coming to visit? This is horrible. So the prince just flew through her window, and then all of a sudden a bunch of people burst in, and she gets sentenced to die? She didn't do anything wrong. It's ridiculous. Again, women getting screwed in these folk tales. How did he learn that the most beautiful princess in the world lived there? Who is he talking to? I mean, no wonder he got his cover blown. He's the only guy flying around with wings. Some guy from another country asking about stuff with literal wings. You're not gonna covertly fly through a window, especially the princess's window. People are probably keeping an eye on that, Man, there's a car alarm going out and people sneezing outside. I don't know if that's being picked up on the audio. If it is, I was going to say I apologize. I don't apologize. I got to record. This is what happens sometimes. We continue. All right, so the prince and the princess sentenced to die at the stake. Again, why, though? This prince is pretty cool. He's coming in, flying in on wings. If you're the king, you'd be like, this guy is pretty impressive. He has access to wing technology. We don't have that here, I'm assuming. Just hear him out, see what's going on. Don't go straight into the princess's room, though. That's presumptuous. It's too bold. Go in like a gentleman, right, buddy? This is pretty not cool. Don't just if you have a crush on someone, don't break into their window, into their room when they're in there, or when they're not in there. Just don't break into anywhere if you have a crush on somebody. That's not how you make your move, Prince. This prince has no game, and he's a prince. That's a great opener right there. Hello, I'm Prince so-and-so. Boom. It's pretty good opener. He's got it made. At that point, it's yours to screw up, basically. All right, we continue. However, so they're sentenced to die at the stake. However, the prince had taken his wings with him, and as the flames flared, he tied the wings on and flew with the princess to his homeland, where he descended to the ground. All right, well, that's really stupid of these people who sentenced him to die. Just let him keep his wings. Obviously, he's going to escape then. They didn't even tie him up. Yeah, he just tied the wings on so his hands were free. These people are bad at carrying out murder sentences. Again, it's very unclear why they were sentenced to die. I guess they're oh, she is sullied and no longer pure because there was a man in her room. That's a thing they did in olden times, right? Man, women had it rough back then. All right, so he took this lady home. He essentially kidnapped her at this point. He went into her room, got her sentenced to die. She was his only way out, so he took her home with him. And now she owes him. He's probably really laying it on thick with the guilt tripping. He's oh, I saved your life. Now, kind of owe me a lot. Yeah, this guy's a dick. His prince sucks. So he descended to the ground back in his homeland. Since everyone had been sad during his absence, he revealed his true identity and was elected king. What? That sentence makes no sense. He revealed his true identity? Was it kept hidden? Why was it kept hidden? They all knew who he was. He was gone for, doesn't seem very long at all. It's not like he would have looked any different. And also, he was elected king? Not how kings work. His dad would have been king already. What's going on with his dad? They just depose him because he went on a vacation? What's going on with the Turner? We screwed over and took his wings. We continue. After some time had passed, the father of the maiden, who had been carried away by the prince, made it known that whoever brought back his daughter would receive half his kingdom. When the prince learned about this, he gathered together an army and brought the princess to her father, who was forced to keep his promise. So he stole... What? So he just brought the daughter back and was like, hey, you said, even though I'm the one who kidnapped her, you said whoever brought her back gets half the kingdom. So now I've got my kingdom and half of yours. Also, he doesn't just, I guess, because of the army, that's why he forced him to keep the promise. The end, by the way. That's it. It's just over after that. This is a terrible story. There's for sure no moral. What's the moral here? The moral definitely has nothing to do with like ingenuity and being rewarded for being clever, because the Turner, the guy who figured out how to literally fly, gets scorned by a bunch of people who are impressed by a floating wooden plate, so much so that he feels like he needs to leave the country. And then when he does, some entitled rich kid tricks him and steals his wings, and then goes and breaks into an innocent woman's room, gets her and himself sentenced to death, saves her. Not even saves her. You can't save someone who is only in danger because of you. You know, at that point you're just broke even. Except she's his prisoner now because he like owns her or something. I don't know. But she's a princess. He's like, all right, we're getting married now that we're back in my homeland. He saves her, goes back there. The king, okay, some blame to the princess's father. Even I don't feel that bad that he got half his kingdom stolen from him, because he's also the one who sentenced his own daughter and this prince to die, which is like not a cool thing to do. Like, that's some psycho stuff. Why would you kill your own daughter just because some psycho broke into her room? It's not her fault. So I don't really feel bad for him. But also, the prince is the only one who wins anything in this. He's the only one who the good things happen to, except for the carpenter who made the plate. The wooden plate. Things seem to go good for him. He makes his plate, and everyone freaks out, and his rival leaves in shame, even though his rival definitely created the better thing. But otherwise, the prince is the only one who things work out for in any way. Turner gets screwed. Princess gets screwed. The king, the father of the princess, gets screwed. The prince's father, who was king before, is like deposed for seemingly no reason when his son is elected king. It's a terrible story. It is very short. I don't know what the lesson is. We're going on to the next one, which is titled The Old Grandfather and the Grandson. No need to be poetic about it. I mean, the Carpenter and the Turner, we still don't have any clarity on what a Turner is. You know what? I'm looking this up. I need to figure out what's going on here. I'm going to do this in real time. What is a Turner? And my internet's out. Okay. So we're not going to find out what a Turner is. When I break for to come up with an adaptation, I'm not adapting this one. I refuse to adapt that story. I'm going to look up what a Turner is when I break for the adaptation is. But now, the old grandfather and the grandson. We begin. Can't believe my internet went out right there. Maybe it's been out for a while. Who knows? Once upon a time, there was an old man who could barely walk. Starting off pretty sad. His knees trembled, and he didn't hear or see much. Moreover, he'd lost all his teeth. Really paint a picture of some sad old guy here. When he sat at the dinner table, he could barely hold the spoon. He spilled the soup on his napkin, and the food continued to flow from his mouth. Help this guy. This guy needs some assistance. His son and his son's wife felt disgusted by this. Gee, give the guy some help. Clearly he's not well. Don't be disgusted by him. Help him out. And therefore, the grandfather finally had to take a place behind the oven in the corner of the room. What? Why is that? Where he gets banished to. It's like, go in the corner because you eat gross is what they're doing. That's not how you treat your dad. It's terrible. They gave him his food in a clay bowl. In addition, it was never full, and he would look morosely over to the table, his eyes filled with tears. Why are you giving him less food? Now, why are you punishing this guy for having a hard time? This is elder abuse, like flat out. Clay, why are you giving him a different bowl? Why are you not giving it? This is very sad. My God, what a pitiful situation here. They're really setting up, drawing the heartstrings towards this guy. We continue. Nope, there we go. We continue. One time, his trembling hands could not grasp the bowl tightly enough, and it fell to the ground and broke. The wife scolded him, while he said nothing and only sighed. Yeah, he needs help. He can't even hold a bowl at this point. He's old, lady. Help him out. So they bought a wooden bowl for a penny, and now he had to eat out of it. That doesn't sound... I mean, this Carpenter from the previous story makes like some pretty dope wooden bowls, clearly. You buy that. I don't know. Also, I don't know when this is. It's been a long time ago, so a penny might have been like a decent amount. Like, okay, bowl. Also, bowls are pretty like much the same, no matter what they're made out of, right? Like, a wooden bowl, just like polish it up a little bit, not even with anything in particular. Like, not that much worse than a clay bowl or even really a porcelain bowl. Like, they're all pretty similar. End of the day. We continue. One time, as they were sitting at the dinner table, why does this entire story take place at dinner so far? What's going on the rest of the time? This guy has a hard time eating. We get it. What else, story? One time, as they were sitting at the dinner table, the little 4-year-old grandson collected small wooden sticks on the floor. Yeah, you all... this family, these parents are giving the dad a hard time for being messy. You got sticks on your floor, son. Clean up your own mess before you start criticizing me. That's what I'm saying if I was the dad. We continue. Quote, "What are you doing there?" his father asked. "Oh," the child answered, "I'm making a little trough so mother and father can eat out of it when I'm older and bigger." Boom! Solid burn, grandson. That is vicious. Oh, I'm so on this grandson's side. This kid's 4. Well done. I mean, I'm sure it wasn't like intentionally a burn, but pretty sick. I mean, we know it wasn't because he's 4. It's supposed to be, and I'm sure they're being like, because they treat their dad bad, so he's expecting to treat them bad. But still. I love that. Then the husband and wife looked at each other for a while. They knew what was going on. Finally, they burst into tears and immediately brought the old grandfather to the table. From then on, they let him eat with them and also said nothing whenever he happened to spill a few things. The end. Now that is a folktale right there, folks. That was phenomenal. Super on board. No notes. Yeah, just going to move right along to the next one because the next one's pretty short too. We continue with the water Nixie. We begin. A little brother and a little sister were playing near a well, and as they were playing, they both fell into the water. A water Nixie was there. I don't know what a water Nixie is. Should I know what a water Nixie is? Is this even like an okay thing to say in 2024? A water Nixie? Like a pixie? Like a fairy? I'm gonna assume it was that. Sounds weird though. A water Nixie was there and said, "Now I've got you, and now be good children and work nice and hard for me. The water Nixie doesn't talk very well. There's a lot of problems grammatically with this. Maybe the water Nixie is a million years old, and so they speak weird old-timey. Who knows? Then she gave the maiden some dirty, tangled flax to spin, and also a hollow bucket to fetch water. Okay, so this water, pixie character is like, all right, you're mine. Now you're going to be good and work hard for me. Take this flax and also a hollow bucket to fetch water. Aren't they underwater? There's a water Nixie. They fell in the water, and she now owns them because they're in the water. What water are they fetching? They're surrounded by water. The young boy had to chop down a tree with a blunt axe. There's rocks under the water, sharpen it on that. And all they got to eat were dumplings as hard as rocks. Eventually, the children lost their patience, and one Sunday, okay, I like that they're clarifying the day, they waited until the Nixie was in church. I guess that's why it had to be Sunday. This water Nixie is like devout Catholic or Christian or something. That's weird. What's water Nixie church like? Ugh, that invites a whole lot of questions. So they waited until the Nixie was in church and then ran away. That was all it took. It was easy. After the church service was over, the Nixie saw that the chickens had fled the coop, and she set out after them as fast as she could. The children saw her coming from afar, and the maiden threw a brush behind her. So they're not in the water now, I guess. Why, if they've left the water? So they fell in the water, and then she's like, you belong to me now. But it seems like since then, they haven't been in the water. So why does she have any power over them? They were in a well. They fell in a well. But they're clearly not in the well anymore because they're like chopping trees and eating dumplings and spinning flax. So how does the water nymph, Nixie, such a stupid word, have any power over them anymore? Unclear, but she is chasing after them, and the girl throws a brush behind her. The brush changed into a huge mountain of bristles with thousands and thousands of thorns. The Nixie had great difficulty in climbing over them. How did that happen? Just gonna blow over that? This girl literally transforms a bush into a giant, insurmountable mountain of bristles? I guess not insurmountable, she got over them eventually. But she just transformed a bush. When the children saw her, the boy threw a comb behind him that changed into a huge mountain with thousands and thousands of spikes. But the Nixie was able to grab hold of them and climb over the mountain. How are they doing this? Are these children magical? If so, why haven't they used any of their magic up until now? At the very least, to make a sharper axe. This is stupid. Now the maiden threw a mirror behind her that formed a glass mountain that was so very, very slippery that the Nixie couldn't climb over it. So she thought, I'd better go home and fetch my axe and split the mountain in two. However, by the time she had returned and smashed the glass, the children had long since made their escape, and the water Nixie had to return to tread water in her well. The end. Unimpressed with that one. Ridiculous. Nothing has any motivation or reason for happening. We don't know why the children are suddenly magic when they weren't before. We don't know why the water Nixie has any power over anyone. She doesn't seem to have any magic powers, really, at all, right? Does she do anything magical at any point? No. They fall in a well, and she's like, ha-ha, you're mine now. and I guess they just like go with it. Because clearly the second they try to leave, they left and were magic and could do a bunch of really cool, crazy stuff, which it's unclear whether or not they could do that before. Regardless, this water Nixie person has no power, like is not special in any way, and has no reason to have any authority over them whatsoever. So I guess the lesson of this is like, just because someone says they have power over you or authority over you doesn't mean they do. Don't believe them. Just because someone says I'm stronger than you, or hey, you need to report to me, or I'm above you in some way, doesn't mean they are. They could just be a dumbass water Nixie. That's the only lesson I can take from this, because the rest of it is just a bunch of blabbering nonsense. All right. So the next one's longer, or a bit longer, but those are three nice, tight, short ones right there. Let's have a think and see which one of these I want to adapt, and also figure out what a turner is. I think it's something to do with thread and textiles of some nature, but we'll find out. Hopefully my internet has come back. See you after the break. All right, welcome back. You may notice I'm wearing something entirely different now, and my voice might sound a little different. And that's because it's a completely different day, because I took a break to write the adaptation, went to sleep, and woke up sick. So my voice probably doesn't sound 100%, yet, nonetheless, we're getting back into it. It's days later, but I can't delay this anymore. I gotta get this adaptation out, and it's gonna be the Carpenter and the Turner that I'm gonna adapt, because that was the most interesting, and it just had the most happening in it, the most going on, so it's got the most to work with. Also, figured out that a turner, I was totally wrong in what I thought a turner was. It's a wood turner, I have to assume. It's a wood turner. So a wood turner is someone that uses a lathe to make things out of wood. So a lathe holds a piece of wood and spins it really fast. And then the person holds metal implements against the wood, and it carves it away into a shape, essentially. Which is pretty cool. I watched some videos of people wood turning. I saw a guy make a bowl. I saw a guy make a cool goblet. I saw a guy make a globe out of a bunch of colored pencils that he tied together and then fused together with epoxy. I went down a whole wood turning rabbit hole, guys, and I would highly recommend it. Get involved. All right, but we're back into the adaptation of the Carpenter and the Turner. So this one is going to be a series, and I don't want it to be fantasy, really. I feel like leaning into the mechanical element is going to be the most interesting here. Also, touching back on the original story, the fact that it was a turner, it was a wood turner who made wings that could actually fly with that technique, just like spinning a bunch of wood and like carving things away, somehow using that technique to make literal wings, makes it even more impressive. It's staggering. It's incredible. How the hell did the Carpenter come out on top in that head-to-head? Makes no sense. Justice for the wood turner. Anyway, back to the adaptation. This is going to be a series. Don't think we're going to go fantasy at all here. I think try to keep this grounded as possible, make it the most interesting. Maybe later on in the series we get some subtle fantasy elements, but maybe not. Maybe keep it mechanical. I like sort of old-timey contraptionaire type stuff. People who make contraptions. But yeah. So we're going to start with a brother and a sister, and the show starts. I'm just going to, pardon me if I'm looking down and you're watching the video of this. I'm just consulting my notes here. We're going to start with a brother and a sister, and it starts with them as children being raised by their father, played by Javier Bardem. And he's the chief engineer
of this empire, this vaguely medieval style empire. Actually, I'm picturing kind of like Roman Empire sort of aesthetic, but not actually Rome or the Roman Empire. It's a fictional society, so you can make tweaks and little aesthetic changes, make it more interesting, take some liberties there. And so their mother has passed away, and so this chief engineer father, Javier Bardem, he is obsessed with educating his two children, they're twins, and making them as skilled and capable as possible. It's his life's mission in the absence of the love of his life. And he he teaches the children, and they are prodigiously adept at building things and mechanical engineering. And we see the daughter climbing trees, and she's watching birds and insects and flying things and is fascinated with them. And then we see the son rowing his canoe out into the ocean and the rivers, and he looks at fish and the things swimming below the surface and leaves flowing through the river and down the streams. And we jump ahead, and now the two children have grown, and they're played by, okay, stay with me here, Ursula Corbero from Money Heist, one of the girls from Money Heist. She is fantastic, very cool. And Oscar Isaac from just a million things. And he's kind of too old for this role, really, but he's the vibe I'm going for. So just as a mental marker, I'm still gonna choose him for this. And when we jump ahead, Javier Bardem, he is on his deathbed, and he speaks to them both, telling them that they're the future of the empire because machines, technology, this dictates a society's reach, determines what a civilization is capable of, for better or for worse. Bum bum bum. Ominous. Which, for the record, I believe there is some truth to, that technology does kind of determine a society's grasp. Anyway. So Javier Bardem, he passes away, and the Emperor, who is played by Penelope Cruz, she's could be a very cool empress character. She's awesome. She makes both of the twins co-chief engineers because they're both equally skilled. They just have their own specialties. Oscar Isaac with his ships and his water machines, and Ursula Corbero. Corbero. I'm just going to call her Ursula from now on. I think this auto-corrected to Cordoba, but it's Ursula Corbero. With her flying machines and her projectile weapons and airborne contraptions, and one day a rival empire moves to invade their kingdom, and they have limited resources, so of course they can only focus on one strategy to really lean into. And Oscar is pushing to focus on the sea-based warfare and strategies, and Ursula is pushing for the air-based strategies, and this drives a wedge between the twins. And they've always had a bit of a rivalry, like playful rivalry, but now it begins to turn bitter and vicious as they get older and more entrenched in their ways and more competitive, really, but less playful about it. And after much deliberation, the Emperor Penelope Cruz decides to go with Oscar and says that the flying machines of Ursula will be used primarily for surveillance and intelligence purposes. And of course, Ursula is very upset by this. But she keeps at it, and she creates a very new, advanced type of flying machine, and she's the only person that can pilot it. And she says that this can turn the war in their favor. And the Emperor Penelope Cruz, she's no dummy. She doesn't understand the device, but she thinks that if it will turn the tide in their favor, then she has to go with it. So she allows Ursula to go on one mission to prove this machine's effectiveness. And so she goes on the mission, Ursula, but unbeknownst to her, Oscar Isaac's his assistant, his second in command, who's a devious, devilish little fellow, he sabotaged the machine. Oscar Isaac would never do this himself, of course, because while he is competitive, he still loves his sister. He would never hurt her or sabotage her and potentially kill her. And the assistant's more ruthless. He has no such apprehensions. And so the flying machine fails when Ursula is in enemy territory, and she crashes and is taken prisoner. And the leader of this kingdom that they're at war with is Gael Garcia Bernal. He's a great actor, he's in a bunch of stuff. And he sees this flying machine, or the wreckages of it, at least. And wreckage, it's not plural, it's just one device. And he's fascinated by it. So he takes Ursula under his wing, no pun intended, and as she sees him lead his people and the type of person that he is, she begins to admire him and the way he leads, and she's conflicted because she still loves her brother and respects Emperor Penelope Cruz, of course, so she doesn't want to destroy them and her home world, home society, but she doesn't know if King Gael Garcia Bernal is actually a better, more benevolent leader, and maybe he does some things to make her think that perhaps he is. So it's a situation where there aren't really any villains or heroes here. There's no evil people. There's people trying to do their best, trying to do what's right by their own moral compass, their own societies, their own people, their own interests. And there are multiple occasions where these different characters have to make choices whether they're going to prioritize their own interests or the greater good. And often they aren't even sure what the greater good is. Is the greater good for them, for their people, for the world? Who knows? And what loyalty are they going to honor? The loyalty to themselves, to their sibling, to their kingdom or empire? All these questions. And why do they feel loyalty towards who they do? They start to question things. Is it justified? They're wrestling with what they know, what they think they know, what they might not know, what is hidden to them. Wrestling with all these things. Lots of questions, lots of areas for potential conflict, for potential connection. And that's why I think this is best as a series, because as the series goes on, we get more in depth, both of the societies, learn more about each of these different civilizations that are at war. We see each of their humanity, their strengths, their weaknesses, morally, technologically, philosophically, all these things. It's a situation where you kind of want both sides to win, but you also kind of don't want either side to win, because then it means that the other side will lose. I'm into it. I'm fully into it. I'm here for it. And that will do it for this week's episode. I've decided I'm not going to say what the next episode title is going to be, and that's definitely because I'm deciding to right now, and not because I don't have the book at hand to tell me which one it will be. So come on back next time, and I got another tale and another adaptation for you. See, hopefully I'm going to record it right now. So it's not going to come out right now, immediately after this, but I'm going to record it right now, so my voice is still going to be a little messed up, and I'm still going to be wearing this same shirt. So hope you like the shirt, and hope you like my slightly congested voice, because it's coming back next time. See you later.